Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Terrence.
What's up?
All right, guys, we're back. Let's talk about Incredibles 2. Terrence, you had the luxury of seeing this movie.
Yeah, I heard
very jealous.
kind of a couple people bad-mouthing me on another podcast. A bunch of jerks over there. But yeah, it was, I did. Because I've been seeing a lot of terrible movies lately. So I figured,
fair.
I'm going to go ahead and see this good one. And that everyone else wanted to see. But I got it. But anyway,
Suck it.
As far as the movie goes, I guess I would probably be the best person to see this because, or maybe not, I don't know, because I just saw the first one for the first time last year.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
It came out the first one came out in 2004. I was 23.
Jesus. Wow, that's a really long time between sequels.
Yeah,
but yeah.
He said, Brad Bird said that like he was going to do a one and done, but apparently it's Disney.
Yeah,
so
and
eventually
that movie was incredibly popular.
Yeah, everyone loved Incredibles, and when I saw it, I'm like, wow, I get it now. Like, this is a really good movie. It's well, as Michael would say, it's the best in Fantastic Four movie that's ever been made.
It's a fact.
But this one picks right up after the first one. If you remember the end of the first one, the Underminer comes out of nowhere, and stuff happens.
I mean, you're probably not aware of this, but like the very first villain of the Fantastic Four is Mole Man, which is the same thing as the Underminer. Like that's
pretty funny.
I mean, they literally are like, here it is. Like they're copying it straight up, which I don't have a problem with.
But and if you remember the first movie, superheroes are illegal.
Okay, yeah, it's been a long time since.
A lot of people probably haven't seen it since 2004.
Yeah.
Or a very long time ago. But being a superhero is basically illegal. So they have to go after the Underminer fight, they kind of destroyed the city. You know, things like that happen. So they have to go underground. They go into hiding. And this group of folks, or these two people, come up to them. Well, Frozone is back. He comes up and says, hey, I met this guy. Why don't you come meet him? And the whole premise is that this guy loves superheroes. And he wants them to not be illegal anymore. So he comes up with a plot that everyone has cameras all over the place. So he's like, we're going to use cameras to show what you guys see when you're fighting crime. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that is very interesting.
Like NFL helmet cam, basically.
Or like police cams.
But like police cams,
right.
Yeah.
So, but in order for them to do that, they wanted someone that's not going to cause a lot of problems. So they pick ElastiGirl.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing about this movie that I really enjoyed was that it's women and like girls, they're gonna love it because ElastiGirl is like she's the main superhero of the movie. Like she shines through it. Like it's the same premise as the first movie. Like you remember in the first movie, he goes out.
Yeah.
He goes to the secret island or whatever. It's basically reversed. So he's at home taking care of the children. She's fighting crime. But the fact that she's the one doing it's a woman. Like I would probably put this up there with like Wonder Woman as far as like women empowerment because they actually get into conversations about women empowerment because
nice. That's kind of cool.
It's so weird to me. Like some people have seen it. Like there was one review in particular. He wasn't really feeling the movie at all, but he didn't touch on any of these, which I thought any of these points, which was kind of weird. But it's the action sequences with ElastiGirl are really cool. Like they do things with their powers that I wouldn't have thought of.
Because it's power in animation, right?
Yeah, and you can do whatever you want. It's an animated movie. And the other thing, like this movie looks way better than the first one. Like I saw some other reviews, or I watched a review. They were like, I think the animation was a little bit better. I'm like, no, because if you remember the first one, it was very minimalist. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's like
this is 2004. I mean, Pixar was like tearing things up, but yeah, this was probably one of their more visually like extensive projects.
Like Pixar also did Toy Story, right?
Yes. Like
Toy Story, like that was like well animated. Like the first Incredibles, it was like that 1950s deco art style or whatever. But it was super minimal. Like I watched it before I went to go see the second one. The difference, like there's just way more detail in this one.
Interesting.
Again, the action sequences are better. It's funny. Like the family finally learns that the baby has powers.
Yeah, Jack.
They didn't know, and they didn't know in the first movie. And his powers are everything. Like he's got like 12 different. It's really funny. That story arc with him, her story arc was really fun. The kids wanting to help but they can't. There's just a lot going on in the movie that I think a lot of people will really enjoy. Like I really enjoy. I don't know what else to say. It's just a fun movie, man. It
like the action sequences that they've released or bits of them that they've released online, I thought were really well done.
Like I didn't see any that they released. All I saw was a trailer.
Right.
And so when the action sequences popped up, I'm like, yo, these are sick.
Yeah.
Like, there's
no, they
one
look.
sequence where she's got to save a train. It was badass.
Yeah.
Like it was really fucking cool. I'm like, okay.
So do they spend as much time on the family sort of side?
Yeah,
as
it's like split. Like they may spend a little more time with the family than they do with her because hers are just action sequences. You know, like it's like you get in and you get out. But like him, like trying to connect with the children because he was always the one out in the beginning. It's kind of sweet. Like Jack is learning, not Jack, Dash. He's got math and like apparently there's new math in school. And
yeah,
the
that's
father's like,
thing.
how you change math, my nigga? That's ridiculous. Why would you do that? But then he's like, okay, fine. I'm here. I'm going to be a father. So he learns. And then it's like, that's cliche.
Yeah, sure.
It's fun.
I mean, the thing is, the characters are cliche because they are legitimately a copy of Fantastic Four, which is a copy of 1950s like sitcoms, basically.
So there's a lot of it doesn't do anything necessarily new, but like in this day and time, with her being like the star as far as like the action goes, and she beats up with like another, like she's like super popular with all the women superheroes.
Nice.
There's more come out. So they're like, oh my God, now that I see you on TV, like I can be myself and all. I'm like, that's cool, man. Like
I always appreciated that about Pixar movies and just good animated movies in general, which is using this ridiculous premise to deal with something that's very modern that's going on today. Obviously, that is, I'm sure that her, female superheroing is, some sort of like connection to like coming out, the Me Too movement. Well, not necessarily Me Too movement, but like
because I was thinking about how
just like equality,
equality between the sexes.
Right.
They talk about that, like the actual villain is like, we're constantly like looking at our television screens and all this other shit. I'm like, okay.
Wow. Okay. So a lot of social commentary.
So, it's a social commentary but she uses that. Like I don't want to get into too much into spoilers, but she uses that. That's what her weapon is.
Right.
So, like again, it's not super deep, but like they touch on a lot of social issues in the movie, which again, a good cartoon, good for kids, but like messages for adults as well, like that they'll pick up on that the kids won't. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it like a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, like I really liked it. I'd see it again.
All right, there you go. 4.5 out of 5.
Great animation. Acting's fine.
It's a good cast too, by the way. Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, Sarah Val, and Huck Milner, and Samuel L. Jackson. By the way, how good is Samuel L. Jackson? Because he's got to have a larger role.
Oh yeah, he's got a larger role, and it's Samuel L. Jackson. Like yeah, it's just him. Like he's like a Denzel Washington character.
Yeah,
you can't not be Samuel L. Jackson when he's playing a character.
But you still love him whenever he shows.
Yeah, whatever he's in is fine. Yeah, like it's just him. Frozone has a pretty badass part too. Yeah, like it's like they all get to shine. It's like the
Avengers.
The Avengers, right? The kids, all of the main characters get to shine when it comes to these. Like the last action sequence could have been a little bit better, but they all got their shine. There was one other character. She has a really cool power, but she has a sequence at the end of the movie where she really shows it off, and it's cool. Like I want to see it again.
Wow. Okay.
I really like the movie.
All right. So this has been a pretty good summer actually for like the big blockbuster kind of things.
It's gonna make a lot of money.
Oh, that I do not doubt.
I don't know how much, but it's gonna make a pretty penny.
Well, it has. I don't have the budget right now, but I'm sure it's a big step up from the original, which only had a $92 million budget, but made $633 million, which is crazy. So I'm sure this will do. I mean, people have been waiting 14 years for this. So people who were super young when the original came out are now of age when this comes out, and then they probably some of them who were like in their 20s have kids now, so then they can go and enjoy with
showing the children the first one.
Right, and then they can enjoy with their kids.
Like, there was like 2 or 3 children that I could clearly hear in the theater when we got there, but at a kid scene. And it was pretty quiet. Like, everyone was really enjoying it.
All right.
Got a standing ovation at the end. Like,
wow, okay.
Okay. Well, that's because it was a screener.
Yeah. Okay.
People love free shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that was.
That's all that is, absolutely.
But, yeah, it's an awesome movie. Like, check it out.
All right, there you go. 4.5 out of 5 for Incredibles 2. And make sure if you're listening to this on the Coming Distractions podcast feed, make sure you go to youtube.com/the Nerdpocalypse and watch the video version of this. And if you're watching the video version, you can subscribe to the audio podcast version in whatever podcatcher that you decide. Just do a search for Coming Distractions. All right, guys, we will see you next time.
Take it easy.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.